Naruto is one of, if not the most powerful character in his entire universe. Whether it be the insane level of ninjutsu he can pull off, his universe-leading taijutsu, his absolutely preposterous amount of chakra, the access to the Sage of Six Paths chakra, his Sage mode, and so much more, there is truly a myriad of things that make Naruto insanely powerful. However, amongst all of these qualities that make Naruto a literal walking being of destruction, Genjutsu is not one of them. I mean, sure, hypothetically, Naruto could summon Ma and Pa like Jiraiya, and he could have Ma and Pa use demonic toad confrontation chant, which in itself is one of the most powerful Genjutsu in the entirety of the Naruto universe, and thus Naruto does have access to high-level Genjutsu, but it's not high-level Genjutsu he can do himself. However, when it comes to swaying the opinions of some of the most opinionated people in Naruto, be they Zabuza, Neji, Nagato, or Obito, and so many others, no one has been more successful than Naruto. But why? Well, many would give you the answer of talk no jutsu, but what is talk no jutsu? Is it a convincing speech from a tragic orphan with a backstory he really wants you to know about? Or is it one of the most widespread and effective uses of Genjutsu we've ever seen? Well, that's a question that's been going around on the internet for years, as people have tried to decipher how and why Naruto could possibly convince these villains who have committed their entire lives to villainy to simply, over the course of a 5-minute or so conversation, stop, oftentimes giving up their life in the process. And thus, unfortunately, we're talking about the scale at which Naruto is able to sway the opinions of some of the most important people in the history of the Naruto universe. It's hard to say, oh, he's just able to do that because he's a really good talker, and thus people have sought out alternative answers, and Genjutsu is the most prominent amongst them. But is talk no jutsu Genjutsu? Is Naruto one of the most accomplished Genjutsu users in his entire universe? Well, today we're going to be answering those questions and a whole lot more, because today we're talking everything you need to know about talk no jutsu. But before we get to revealing Naruto's evil ability to reach into the minds of others and sway them to his opinions, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. And if you guys are looking for one additional NC Hammer 23 video a week, you can go ahead and find my Naruto reaction series using the fourth wall link in my description below. We are on to the Forest of Death. So I know what some of you are wondering. Nick, how accomplished of a Genjutsu user could Naruto truly have been, considering the fact that he's been placed under Genjutsu multiple times? I mean, we know becoming a Genjutsu master is all about chakra control, and those who have truly mastered chakra control, like Chakra, become all but impervious to Genjutsu. And while Naruto was more resistant to Genjutsu while he was a perfect Jinchuriki, prior to being a perfect Jinchuriki, he not only pulled off a ton of very impressive talk no jutsu feats, but also simultaneously was put under the effects of Genjutsu rather often, as both Itachi and Itachi's clone both placed Naruto under Genjutsu. I mean, during the Chunin exams, after Naruto had talk no jutsu Neji, he's hit with a stadium-wide Genjutsu that puts the entire stadium to sleep that he has to be broken out of by Chakra. So if he was such an incredible Genjutsu user that he was able to probe into the mind of Neji, how would he later be hit by a stadium-wide Genjutsu that Chakra was able to break out of, but he wasn't? I mean, even as a perfect Jinchuriki, Naruto was put under Genjutsu by Toneri's Moon Cave, something that Sakura, somebody well known for being incredibly practiced in chakra control, was not affected by. So how on God's green earth would Naruto, a person with a track record of being placed under Genjutsu, which inherently means he himself is not that good at Genjutsu, place not only one, but 2 Rinnegan users under Genjutsu in Obito and Nagato, and a Byakugan user in Neji who is naturally resistant to Genjutsu under Genjutsu? Well, that's because his Genjutsu doesn't manifest in a standard way, as at least what the people on the internet who believe talk no jutsu is a Genjutsu would tell you. But okay, if his Genjutsu doesn't manifest in a standard way, how does it manifest? Well, in order to understand that, we need to understand not only how chakra works in the Naruto universe, but how specifically Naruto's chakra works. See, in Naruto, chakra itself is a blend of 2 things: physical energy and mental energy. Now, physical energy is like the energy that you have to lift weights or go on a run, and thus physical energy can be increased by training. However, mental energy is more of an abstract concept. See, mental energy is known as ninju. It's a great metaphysical force that ties all living beings not only to the earth, but also to each other. And thus, in order to increase one's mental mental energy, things like experience, emotional control, and meditation are needed. Yes, one can increase their mental energy by meditating. And thus, mental energy is more a reflection of the work you've done on your mind as opposed to the work that you've done on your body. And thus, the reading of Chakra, which is a reflection of the work you've done on your body and your mind, is truly the best way to understand who somebody is as a person. See, this is why when people sense Naruto's chakra, they relate him to the sun. This is why Karin, one of the most incredible sensors in the entirety of the Naruto universe, was astounded when they came into contact with Naruto's chakra, sensing his chakra and feeling as though she was staring into the sun, and making note of how different his chakra was from that of Sasuke's. On top of this is why the Susanoo of the Uchiha manifest in different colors, with those who manifest dark-colored Susanos being those who are cast into darkness themselves, like Madara and Sasuke, but those who manifest bright-colored Susanos, like Itachi and Shisui, are light personalities, people more dedicated to protection than destruction. And thus, when chakra is shared between two people, it's a bit like a conversation. This is why it's such a common saying in the Naruto universe that the best way to understand somebody else is to fight them. And this is why people like Hinata, Ino, and Shikamaru remark in the 4th Great Shinobi World War when Naruto shares his chakra with them and the rest of the Shinobi Alliance, that by coming into contact with Naruto's chakra, they feel as though they're able to understand his convictions, his emotions, and his experiences. And this makes sense. Naruto is effectively sharing with them an energy source that's made up out of all of the physical and mental experiences he's been through in his entire life. Sharing chakra with somebody is like giving them a scrapbook to your entire life. And thus, when Naruto shared his chakra with the majority of the Shinobi Alliance in the 4th Great Shinobi World War, everybody felt the warmth of his soul, the conviction of his spirit, the scarred tissue on his heart from being bullied his entire life for simply being born. And his ability to push through those incredibly tough times helped the Shinobi Alliance grit their teeth through what was effectively the hardest time to be alive ever. And thus, this connection of chakra seems to allow people to understand Naruto on a level that no one had ever accomplished previously. And thus, that brings us to our most impressive feat of talk no jutsu ever accomplished by Naruto: Obito. See, well, almost every single villain in Naruto is a broken hero, somebody who starts with noble goals and ambitions but gets lost somewhere along the way. Obito is pretty much the most lost antagonist out of any antagonist in Naruto. Sure, he started as a Konoha shinobi who wanted to become Hokage one day and was a rival of Kakashi who was in love with Rin, but slowly and surely, because of the corruption placed on him by Madara and the horrors of the ninja world that he was perpetually exposed to, he went from a young boy who couldn't show up places on time because he was too busy helping the elderly, to a man who literally tried to abduct a baby, kill the Hokage, release the nine-tailed fox in the center of Konoha, create the Akatsuki, and throw the entire world into eternal darkness and slumber with the Eye of the Moon plan. Obito was lost. And yet, in just a couple-minute long conversation, Naruto was able to bring this lost hero back from the brink, to the point that Obito literally gave his life to make sure that Naruto didn't lose his. But how is Naruto able to pull off this most impressive ever yet feat of talk no jutsu? Well, because fundamentally he seemingly approached this instance of talk no jutsu differently from every other instance. See, Naruto and Obito's conversation, this talk no jutsu appointment, happens in some kind of metaphysical space, a white room that seems akin to some of the showings of the Pure Lands that we've seen before. And in this metaphysical space that only Obito and Naruto inhabit, Naruto is not only able to feel the emotions and see the memories of Obito, probing so deep into his mind that he's able to see that when Obito was a child, he wanted to be Hokage, something that Naruto wants to do right now. But Naruto is also able to freely flow his convictions and his memories to Obito. And thus, this emotional pocket dimension served as the best possible stage for a talk no jutsuing of this scale. But how did this happen? I mean, this level of infiltration into somebody's mind, this level of the ability to pass memories to and fro, is something that we've only really seen from people with karma markings and the Yamanaka's ability to jump into other people's bodies. But even though Naruto has blonde hair and blue eyes, he's not a Yamanaka. He didn't clasp his hands together and his body didn't go limp as he shot his soul into the body of Obito. And he definitely didn't place a karma marking on Obito. So how did Naruto make this metaphysical space exist? How was he able to probe into the memories of Obito? Something that, if you listen to some of the translations of his conversation with Nagato, he was was also able to do to Nagato. As in some of the initial translations of Nagato and Naruto's conversation at the end of Nagato's life, after Nagato has already used Ready Rebirth on everybody he killed in Konoha, Nagato tells Naruto that you understood me because you were able to enter my world. And to some degree, it appears as though Naruto is able to do exactly that, to enter the mind of others, to understand them as best as possible, so he knows the most optimal approach to take to connect to them. So is it Genjutsu? Is it some kind of infiltration technique? Well, if it is Genjutsu, a couple of things make a fair amount of sense, like the fact that Naruto and Sasuke are naturally rivals. See, Naruto's chakra control, though it's often not talked about, is absolutely insane. Probably the third best in the universe behind Sakura and Tsunade, two people who for all intents and purposes are completely immune to Genjutsu, because Genjutsu is a chakra control tug-of-war, and they're winning that war every single time. But why is Naruto's chakra control so good? Well, outside of the fact that a 12-year-old Naruto is able to use an A-ranked jutsu in the Rasengan, it also requires an insane amount of chakra control to be able to split your chakra into as many shadow clones as Naruto is able to. However, neither of these are technically Naruto's most impressive chakra control feats, as not only is Naruto eventually able to, on top of using a Rasengan, apply shape release to his Rasengan to turn his Rasengan into a Rasen Shuriken, a throwable version of the Rasengan. In order to accomplish this feat, he has to add his natural chakra affinity, which is wind release, to that Rasen Shuriken. And adding a chakra affinity to a Rasengan is something that both Kakashi and Minato in their relative primes tried to accomplish, but couldn't. As Minato tried to apply not only wind, but also lightning release to a Rasengan and failed in both endeavors, and Kakashi, who identified that the Rasengan seemed like an incomplete jutsu, applied lightning release to it. However, he was unable to do it, and he collapsed the Rasengan, creating the Chidori. And thus, Naruto's simple ability to apply wind release to a Rasengan seems to imply that his chakra release is better than that of his father's and his mentors. But that's not where Naruto stopped, as Naruto has learned to apply basically every single elemental release to a Rasengan or a Rasen Shuriken, and on top of that, has learned how to apply Kekkei Genkai to them. Whether it's something like a lava release Rasen Shuriken or a magnet release Rasengan, Naruto is simultaneously mastering chakra control, shape control, and the applied elemental releases simultaneously in one hand. Add that into the fact that he later figures out how to incorporate tailed beast balls into his Rasen Shurikens, which means he needs to be using chakra control, shape control, and positive and negative chakra perfectly balanced, all simultaneously in a throwable jutsu, all while maintaining KCM2. His chakra control is literally perplexingly good, and this ridiculous level of chakra control could possibly explain why, even though him and Sasuke were rivals for years, Sasuke never once tries to use Genjutsu on Naruto. And listen, I know what some of you are going to say, Sasuke doesn't use Genjutsu all that often, and yeah, you are correct, but his Genjutsu is at such a level that he was able to place Sakura in the 4th Great Shinobi World War under Genjutsu, a feat that should have been all but impossible. Oh, and now some of you are saying, oh, Nick, Sasuke never tried it because Naruto's a perfect Jinchuriki and therefore can't be affected by Genjutsu. However, Naruto is not a perfect Jinchuriki until the 4th Great Shinobi World War, and him and Sasuke are rivals long before that moment. And thus, people who are disseminating the idea that Talk No Jutsu is possibly Genjutsu believe that the reason that Sasuke never tried to place Genjutsu on Naruto in the first place is because if he tried to do it, Naruto would be able to kind of reflect the Genjutsu back onto Sasuke. See, because as Sasuke tried to alter what Naruto perceived as real, which is how a Sharingan-based Uchiha Genjutsu usually works, you seize control of somebody's 5 senses and you force them to experience something that's not actually happening. Naruto's ability to shed light on the truth of the world and sway people to his opinion, his viewpoint, would have actually forced Sasuke to change his worldview and possibly come back to Konoha. However, in the same way, Naruto wasn't able to do this to Sasuke because his Talk No Jutsu Genjutsu wasn't able to break through the shield that was the Sharingan, because as we know, the Sharingan conveys a rather large resistance to Genjutsu. And thus both Naruto and Sasuke were stuck in this perpetual struggle of not being able to reach out to each other because each other were shielded from each other's ability to sway the opinions of others. And thus it's not until their second battle in the Valley of the End that the two of them are ever able to reach out to each other, because in that moment they're both out of chakra. Sasuke can't protect himself with the Sharingan and Naruto can't probe into Sasuke with his chakra. And thus in that moment, ideologically, they meet in the middle, now with both of them at their most vulnerable, but for the first time in their relationship with the ability to reach out to each other. And this ability to meet in the middle is not only highlighted by the fact that they both lose their arms, but also from the wound of losing both of their arms, their blood mingles, implying cohesion between the two of them. However, I have an alternate explanation. See, while yes, there is a possibility that Naruto has been using widespread and incredibly high-level Genjutsu for the entirety of his run as the main character of this story, unfortunately that argument falls apart when you consider the fact that he's placed under Genjutsu fairly often. And Sasuke never using Genjutsu on Naruto is more of a Sasuke problem than a Naruto problem. And thus, instead of Naruto using Genjutsu, what if it's much simpler than that? What if he's just using Ninjutsu? See, Naruto is the reincarnation of Asura, the person who was entrusted by Hagoromo to spread his teachings after his death. The reason that Asura and Indra had a beef that spanned literally thousands of years as they reincarnated to continue their battle time and time again, because Hagoromo saw that even though Asura was technically weaker, he had the ability to reach out to other people, to bring them into his fold, to entrust in them to do the things that he needed done. Asura was a leader, Indra was a dictator, but still, the most important principle in Hagoromo's life, the main goal of his long life after Kaguya was sealed away and placed in the moon, was to travel the world and spread ninjutsu with every living human, so they'd be able to tap into their mental energy, become one with the earth and one with each other. The very concept of ninjutsu preaches togetherness. It's spoken about as a way for people to metaphysically connect to each other so they can understand each other's qualms, grievances, and experiences. And thus, wouldn't it make sense that Naruto, who's the reincarnation of Asura, the son who was entrusted by Hagoromo to continue his preachings in the way of ninjutsu and how to connect people through their emotional energy, that Naruto would be the most practiced user of ninjutsu we've ever seen. And Naruto's conversation with Obito is living proof of this. Naruto is able to reach out using his mental energy to Obito's mental energy and is able to connect with him in a metaphysical place. They're able to experience each other's memories and understand each other, exactly how ninjutsu was supposed to operate. However, ninjutsu was marred by the incorporation of physical energy and the creation of chakra, and chakra being molded into ninjutsu. And thus, instead of Naruto taking this chakra and molding it into Genjutsu and manipulating those around him, rather he's using the oldest form of ninjutsu, to connect those around him in the way that the Sage of Six Paths would have wanted him to. And while this might not have been intentional prior to the Fourth Great Shinobi World War, Naruto played with this idea multiple times. And we see his logical build-up to this moment over the progression of his talk no jutsu journey. As time and time again, he talks to people who are depleted of all of their chakra, be they Zabuza or Neji or Nagato, and in these moments of weakness, he reaches his chakra out to them, his emotions. And because of the connection of his chakra to these people who have no defenses up, he's able to tap into their emotional energy, connect to them via ninjutsu. And this experiment is somewhat perfected during the Fourth Great Shinobi World War, where Naruto shares his chakra physically with the entire Shinobi Alliance, until eventually, during his conversation with Obito, he's able to achieve the perfect vision of ninjutsu, a perfect metaphysical connection that allows for two people to connect emotionally with full understanding of each other. And thus, while Naruto's radiance, ability to speak well, and leadership attributes all out for him to be the best Hokage there's ever been, it truly may be Naruto's ability to reach people using the most basic of principles in the Naruto world, ninjutsu, that allowed him to achieve the heights that he's achieved today. And I personally think that's a way better explanation than saying Naruto has been using Genjutsu to manipulate the five senses of those he's been reaching out to. But what do you guys think? What do you think the secret is behind talk no jutsu? Tell me in the comments below, and while you guys are down there, please, for me, like this video, subscribe to the page, and hit that noti bell. You know, if y'all excuse me, I have to go to a boxing gym to scout it for our boxing fight, which actually may be happening right now as you're watching this video. So make sure you follow Anime IRL, because it's streaming July 2nd at 5 p.m. PST, Pacific Standard Time.